Hey everyone, today we're going to paint this jellyfish using acrylic paints on canvas and cover it with epoxy resin. I also added some luminescent paint so it glows in the dark. I had a simple frame with a gradient from black to light blue and added some abstract spots. This will be the bottom. You can make it either solid blue with waves or black. Once the acrylic is dry, I cover it with matte spray paint. It's the most matte effect I've seen so far. For this project, I'll need some dense artist quality acrylic paint. Colors needed are red, yellow, purple, blue, brown, dark blue, white. There's also a peachy color in which I added the luminescent paint. I was originally going to add it to the resin, but then the whole jellyfish would light up and I wanted just the outlines and veins to glow. Start by drawing a small circle with a round brush using diluted acrylic paint. I slightly dampen the brush in water, but be careful not to soak it. If you have too much water, it will drip and leave a hard to cover streak. Draw a squished circle as the jellyfish's body, then from its base. It's like we're looking up from below as the jellyfish swims. Next, we need a wide flat brush. This technique, which I don't really know the name of, involves dipping one corner of the brush in a darker color and the other corner in a lighter color to create. This is perfect for painting the jellyfish's skirt and is wonderful for anyone feeling lazy, me for example. So grab a thick flat brush. The wider the brush, the bigger and more voluminous your jellyfish will be. Adjust the size based on your canvas. If it's a 45 by 90 centimeters canvas like mine, you can use a wider brush for a wider skirt and thinner compressed lines towards the bottom. As you move downwards, add more dark blue, sea wave, or black to create the shadow effect. So one side of the brush I made dark brown and the other side I made peach. On my palette I mixed the colors a few times to help them blend. Now I'm drawing the droplets with a dark center and light edges. This is perfect for painting the jellyfish's skirt and creating a seamless transition. Then you only need to go around the edges with light veins and your jellyfish is complete. You don't have to paint everything. This effect can be used for any gradient. As I mentioned, the lower I go down the jellyfish's tentacles, where it gets deeper, the more violet and sea wave or blue I add, depending on the shade of my jellyfish. So you've made a fair amount of progress with your little skirt-like details. Now let's switch from a broad brush to a slim one. I got mine from a nail art store. It's perfect for intricately decorating nails. Dampen it with sand color, or if you want a stronger contour, you can certainly go brighter. Look here, I'm not using my pinky as an anchor. Usually, I anchor with my pinky to get those really slim lines. Here, look closely at how I'm holding my brush. It's almost like it's moving on its own. That's because my grip is gentle and loose. This is super important. It may seem insignificant, but when you're creating an irregular, lively edge that appears to be moving, and the lines themselves need to be broken, they should be thicker in some places and thinner in others. So you need to hold your brush lightly and just guide it. I'm not sure if this is visible, but watch my hands. I keep rotating my brush. See that? By rotating, I can achieve such a smooth line. First, I trace this psychedelic line across my skirt details. Not all of them, just the prominent ones wherever it needs a twist. The contour should also vary when your painting descends into darkness, the depths. I opted for a dirtier, more violet contour. Nonetheless, I still add some veins and highlights since the light does reach down there. Bear in mind, I added a fluorescent agent to my lighter colors. Hence, I need to create light spots, streaks, veins throughout the jellyfish. And here the questions start to arise from your own meticulousness and approach. Where do you want to stop working on your painting? At which stage? At this moment, as is, the painting is essentially done. From this point, it's subjective. Take an actual reference of the jellyfish you're copying and see what else you want to add. I noticed more veins and spots, so I added them. The original photograph of the jellyfish I'm using as a reference is much darker and has heavier brown shades on the crown. I decided to go for a softer version and didn't make such dark brown details. As for the crown, the advice I can give is, you need to make it look like it's glowing. You see an often dirty looking orange tone. You should do this by layering it on a blue, making it seem as though it's glowing. Remember not to paint with opaque color, the heavy and saturated ones. Your color should be somewhat transparent. If it's not, then add more streaks to it, like what I did at the lower inner section of the jellyfish where it's blue and turquoise. I blended the two colors together to give it a translucent appearance, as if it's softly glowing. That's the key to success because jellyfish are extremely transparent. When you're done with the details, let's add some stripes. I used acrylic paint with a fluorescent agent to paint them. Now, because you'll be coating your acrylic work with epoxy resin, I've posted many videos and tutorials on my YouTube channel about this. Yet, I'll mention it once again. Before you start to coat with resin, mix a medium or thick viscosity resin, yet preferably medium since it releases bubbles well. Let it thicken first, this is crucial. Then once your acrylic or oil painting is dry, take a soapy cloth and gently clean the artwork. When acrylic or oil paint dries, it leaves a thin, oily film on the surface. If you begin to coat with epoxy resin right away, it will leave patches. This is especially the case when you haven't allowed the resin to thicken enough. Hence, remove the oil film, the oil. And don't skimp. Resin doesn't like thriftiness. If you skimp, it will leave blank spots. There should be a lens-like effect and soft layers. Basically, that's it. No cages at all. So we got this artwork. We remove the bubbles and just enjoy the process while catching the sparkles of the resin and charging our artwork so it brightens up like a light bulb in your home. Check this out. Like, if you found it helpful,